everyone please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. How's everyone? Good?
Good.
Happy to be here. Looking forward to doing all these fun stuff in the town of Rockport.
Can I borrow a pen from the
Oh,
door?
sure. Public comment. We just ask that you go to the podium and make sure that the microphone's on, which mine is not. And state your name, address, and whatever you'd like to say. Yes, ma'am.
Pierce, is that on?
Yep, we're good.
35 Broadway,
Oh, even better.
and I'm here to read the petition for redress of grievances that I prepared. I sent a copy to the selectmen, and I want to read it because it's addressed to the U.S. Congress under the articles of the Constitution, all the articles, addressed to the local governments under home rule provisions of law. And the reason, if right now they're having a meeting, the NRC, Atomic Safety and Licensing Board, is having a meeting this week, every day, about the nuclear Seabrook reactor and the degradation of the concrete. And so the NRC is mandated by Congress to promote nuclear energy. So they're in a bind where they cannot really say it's a toxic process because they're supposed to promote it. But this is the petition, it's a draft petition. We are aggrieved by deception, distortion of fact regarding the toxic nature of operating discharge from nuclear reactors, Seabrook in particular. The American people were told repeatedly that nuclear power was safe, clean, and cheap. This was never true. Atomic fission is one of the most damaging technologies. Radioactive isotopes created by fission are routinely discharged to atmosphere and oceans, killing chlorophyll, thus stopping photosynthesis in all plankton, trees, all living green processes, and people. Seabrook reactor has been discharging permanent toxic radioactive plumes for 30 years and is licensed to continue until 2050. The oceans are rising, storm surges and flooding are already in process. And I brought some photos. I didn't bring copies, but the reactor is on the marsh. It's 12 miles north of here, and this is flooding along the Plum Island coast.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get copies and have them made available. But people don't realize that the reactor is on the edge of the marsh. It's the same marsh that goes all the way to Gloucester from New Hampshire. The oceans are rising, storm surges and flooding are already in process. At Fukushima, Japan, tidal wave surge caused failure of electric cooling systems, resulting in meltdown. Fukushima is not fixable, it is permanent, irreparable. Seabrook has the same problem. It is subject to tidal surge, marsh action, salt water is eroding the concrete by alkali silica chemical reactions called ASR, causing micro and macro cracking of below-grade walls. That's the foundation walls. There are no vertical reinforcing bars, only concrete cast horizontal reinforcing bars. Those are stacked. Sorry.
You're getting close to the end of the time, so I just respectfully ask you to wrap it up. And
I have 3 sentences.
oh, perfect. Thank you.
There are no vertical reinforcing bars, only those cast in concrete, which are joined together, stacked by concrete, which is degrading. There is no repair possible. We ask that the reactor be removed before the catastrophic event happens. There is no place to take the pieces of contaminated concrete or the 1,500 tons of fuel that is used fuel that's on site. There are 100 tons in the core and 1,500 on site. Please do not leave Seabrook reactor in place in the marsh to be inundated by the sea for the next centuries, thousands of centuries.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Kimberly Costello, 84 Marmion Way. Many of you received emails from me about the building and the construction that went on at 85 Marmion Way. Mr. Vieira did forward my email to the building inspector because now we have a landscape issue. I've done my research since I wrote my emails to you, so I've done more backup. The town of Rockport's bylaw says any fence on the ocean side between the ocean and the street has to be 4 feet. The town of Rockport has told me that because it's a living fence they've put up there, a hedgerow, it doesn't count and the town can't maintain it. I've driven all around Eden, all around Penzance, all around Marmion, all around Atlantic, up and through Pigeon Cove. There is no other new build with the same landscape issue. The only hedges that are up on oceanside properties have been grandfathered in when the bylaw was passed. The building inspector sent me an email back that basically said, if you want to file a civil suit against the homeowner, go right ahead. The problem with that is the state of Massachusetts has a 4-foot law. The state of Massachusetts recognizes hedgerows as a fence. The state of Massachusetts has found in cases against the homeowners, dug them up, paid damages to the victimized. And if I file a civil lawsuit, which is the next step, I have to include the town of Rockport because I've notified you. There's been 3 years of this harassment that this man has done to me personally. This is a spite fence. It's an illegal spite fence. State of Massachusetts has a law about fences that are put up just out of spite. He cannot claim privacy because the situation of the house is facing the ocean. There is no privacy there. The only thing facing the street and my home is a garage, a front door, and one window I believe is into a dining room or something. I can't look in it, nor do I care to. This has been going on for 3 years. I've been before you before when I was being harassed with dumpsters and with porta potties, and this since the town of Rockport denied him his waiver on the setbacks for his house. He's come at me rather than come at you because y'all socialize.
Okay.
I can't even find a lawyer.
It's not us, so we should.
No,
we should
I'm saying,
clear that up.
I'm
Right.
saying you, the
That's a good
town,
point.
okay?
Right, but we're all the town.
Right.
I just want to make it, just so people don't think that the Board of Selectmen is.
No, the Board of
voting on
Selectmen hasn't
selectmen.
had any,
Right.
okay, I've just notified you of things.
Okay.
But I'm saying he's come at me, mentally abusive. The other day, or 2 weeks ago, he told me that the town had approved this hedgerow. It's property line to property line,
Okay.
8 feet.
I think we got the
Okay.
the gist of what's going on here. We'll have,
Can I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
So in the town bylaw, is a hedgerow not considered a fence?
So it's not listed in there currently, to my knowledge. I know the planning board, not this past set of town meetings, but the one before, they
Okay.
had multiple proposals that they put forward. That was one that didn't make it through.
Okay.
They didn't
So which
push
is
that
why
forward.
Paul says that it has to
Correct.
be a civil.
Correct.
because the town
There is not a
can't-
bylaw for that right now.
Right, so the town can't
And-
enforce a bylaw that isn't.
Yeah, and town law will supersede state law.
Yeah,
Commonwealth
because we
law.
have, since my time on the board, there have been cases where fences have been made to be brought to 4 feet, like but those were actual wooden or metal fences.
Correct. The living fence piece that has not
Right.
been added
Okay.
to the bylaw yet.
So question, Paul?
Yes, please.
Would we have to amend the bylaw, or can't we just assume that this is a fence? Why do we specifically need to name hedgerows as a fence? Because it is acting as a fence.
Because in my opinion, if I may, I
please.
think if it's not spelled out, then it's open to too much conjecture. So better it be spelled out if that's the course of action that's chosen, and you state exactly what it is. And ambiguities like this, and it doesn't even seem like it's an ambiguity, it just,
No, but the state of Massachusetts courts have found that a
Right.
hedgerow is a
Right.
fence.
but it's beyond,
So-
it's
Right.
beyond us.
But I think
Yeah,
for
is
right
what
now,
that
it's
is.
not included
Okay.
in
But
the town.
may I
Sure.
just ask,
Just
does
says fence, that's all.
does
it
the
says.
state law say hedgerows are a fence, or have they just found that way?
They found that way, and they've included it in some of the wording. I have it.
I've not seen a specific statute that
No, but
that
it sounds
says
like the case law
There,
may,
there could be.
Yeah.
I've not seen too much detail on it, other than I know it was a
Yeah.
big point of discussion with the planning board. I know that they view them as two separate items.
Right, but I think-
I don't know why. I'd have to talk to town council.
yeah, I think it
on
would
some
be
of that.
helpful to hear from town council. Is it the case law that is leading the state? You know what I mean?
No, understood,
And
absolutely.
therefore, could we say this is a fence and he needs to take it
So
down?
we can look at it in the broader sense. Paul's issued a written determination on this particular case, so there is an appeal process that would apply to his decision.
I don't know what that means.
So-
Can you
so-
explain that to me?
I'm sorry, just one
I'm
moment,
sorry,
please.
okay.
So he's issued a decision on that.
Decision on that
Um,
specific case.
so the
What is
the
this
zoning-
decision?
He's made a ruling that
That
says
it's
that it's okay to be there.
Okay.
So there are appeal processes that
Okay,
that are in
good.
place for that, which would be the civil suit. So we can certainly look at it for a bigger issue.
In the broader sense, in
Yep.
terms of changing the bylaws, but for that case, since
He-
he's made the
he's
decision,
ruled
we can't-
on that particular
We can't now
case.
go back and
Right.
say, right.
My point is, rather than us paying an attorney for a case that this woman is going to file that we're likely to lose, if the preponderance of case law already says that a hedgerow is a fence, should we ask him to reverse the decision based on what the town council says?
I'll have to talk to council. I don't want to
Okay.
get into litigation strategy
Yeah,
here.
I know, I understand.
I think
so-
we're getting ahead of ourselves a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah,
but-
I don't want to
We'll-
go there
we'll-
either. I'm
we'll
hoping
certainly
not to
see,
go there.
but,
Good.
Okay, I'd
um,
rather not go there.
Please be in touch with your town administrator.
One thing I do want to say,
Office.
all I asked was that it be brought down to 4 feet. I'm not looking for money. I'm
Okay.
not looking to have it
Yep.
taken out. All I
Understand.
wanted was for it to comply with the bylaw.
How high is it now?
7 to 8 feet,
Oh, jeez.
and it's growing. And the purpose of it was against me to block, my view to block, because he's mad at me, because the town voted on this.
Okay, let's not,
Okay.
yeah, let's, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Toby Arsenian.
How do I know it?
What?
Keep in contact with
No,
the town
planning,
administrator.
planning board, or building.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted. Yes, sir.
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. Leading up to the late town meeting, when you were intending to sell 4 of the tax title lots, you stated at a public meeting, I'm not sure whether it was Mitch Vieira or Sarah Wilkinson who made the remark, that all of the lots had town sewer. That, as it turned
Not
out,
true.
was not the truth.
That's actually not true.
It
We
is
said-
true.
That's not true. We said that we thought that some of them did, and that we were gonna follow up and figure out which did.
But you saw an opportunity to,
I
right
beg
in
to-
there, right in,
Just to-
Toby.
just-
I
put it
beg to
clear.
differ.
Yeah, well, let's
At
run the
any
tape.
rate, I don't recall a
Yeah,
retraction.
exactly,
Lies
exactly,
on
yeah,
tape.
exactly.
That's exactly
Right.
right.
Yeah. So it's, now, come on, Toby, enough.
I
Really?
too am guilty of spreading misinformation
Which is
and
exactly
wish
what
to
you-
Thank you for
apologize.
admitting that.
Thank you for not interrupting. I'm not talking
Oh, so-
about the
now-
same
now,
topic.
it's okay for me to be rude, but it's okay for you to be rude, and I can't be
You
rude.
interrupting me while I'm speaking, taking
Yeah.
part of my 3 minutes.
Yeah, some of the
I
things
said
that
I
you've
wish
also
to.
said.
I said I wish to offer an apology and retraction for something I said at the town meeting that was mistaken. Discussing the development for the affordable housing at 5 Granite Street, I said that they had taken down the holly tree as well as dumping contaminated fill at the front of the site. I am wrong about the holly tree. It still stands. It's off to the side, not where I remember it being. Sloppy of me, and I apologize. The fill is still sitting there. It's contaminated fill, and each of you has stood before the town clerk and sworn an oath to see that the town's bylaws are upheld. I'm asking you, are you going to see that the contaminated fill is removed?
Yes, Toby, I thought you were going to apologize for calling us delusional at town meeting.
Certainly not.
Oh, okay, so.
I was correct
since-
on that.
Since we're delusional, we can't possibly answer your question.
It would be inaccurate.
Somewhere at the project on Granite Street.
Are you going to see that the fill is removed, or will you ignore it?
I don't even.
We're not,
Who would be I'm gonna, if I may, I'm gonna
Please.
play ball for a minute here. Who would be responsible for the decision to have the fill removed?
I need to look in the bylaw to see who specifically. It's either Public Works or the building inspector.
Okay,
I don't-
so,
I couldn't tell you exactly
so once
right now.
again, you're at the wrong committee.
On the contrary, you've undertaken
not on the
with the
contrary. You
oath
just
to
heard.
see that the town's bylaws are upheld. I've sworn no
Okay,
such
and
oath.
within those bylaws, there are
Granite Street.
processes attached to them.
All
Those
right.
processes involve going to the correct committees and not using the Board of Selectmen as your personal conduit.
all right, we're gonna, thank you,
Yeah,
Selectman Campbell.
I've had enough of the
Yep,
nonsense.
yep.
Isn't it private property?
Any fill, the town does have jurisdiction over fill that's brought in for something like that, so.
Okay, let's move on. We have a lot to accomplish today, so. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry.
Jim Downey, 33 Main Street, and I'm speaking tonight as chairman of the Historic Commission, and on a upbeat note, thank you for everything you do, and hi to all
Thank
of
you for what you do.
Yep. So I just want to make the town aware, and I find this is a great venue to do that. A lot of people watch the selectmen's meetings.
great.
They do?
Really?
Well, I feel
one
it
of my
is, but
better
then again, I
moments.
think everybody comes to all the meetings, and it's always the same kind of people. So,
'Cause my
anyway,
kids just
shameless
click right
plug,
past
that the Historical Commission has been reduced to 5 members through town meeting, of which I couldn't be there. I apologize, but it seemed to go without a hitch. And we right now, I think, I've been on, I think, going into my 5th year, and it's an incredibly strong commission. And there are people who are always in rotation, I find, in any committee or commission in town. So this is the shameless plug that we are looking for a member. We've now been reduced to a 5-person commission with the ability, based on Mass General Law, to have 2 alternates whose purpose it is to fill quorum needs when we need it. And our goal is to try to find people who have served in some capacity related to the Historic Commission so they can act as an advisory person as well. We've just finished a couple of 100 hours of work rewriting every document. We brought those forth the last 2 meetings and going into our 3rd to make sure that they're all discussed and brought forward in a transparent and fully understandable fashion about any reformations, changes, amendments, et cetera, to any of our documents, including the rules, regulations, and guidelines. But they're here to transcend this commission. This is in my opinion, the first time there's been incredible uniformity and consistency to these guidelines that are finding a way to bridge the needs of property owners, store owners, income-producing property owners who live in the districts and the needs of the town as stated in our bylaw. So it's really great, and you're all welcome. I don't know who the existing liaison is, but all of you are welcome sometime to come to a meeting and see what we do. We have some unreal projects going on, a new house on South Street, a new house with designs approved on the court in the Jernards in South, a beautiful project on 127 Main Street, just one project after another that we're trying to compile a list of all the things we do to try to maintain the historic character and charm that we're pretty fortunate to have. So anyway, let's put it up on an upbeat note, and that's an upbeat update from the Historical Commission, and thanks again.
I'd like to nominate Toby Arsenian. That was a joke. That was a joke, Toby. My apologies. Okay, we're gonna move on to, anyone else for public comment? Okay, let's move on to the Comcast hearing of 37 Main Street.
I see an Xfinity shirt.
You want a motion?
Please.
I move that the board open a public hearing on the petition of Comcast to install 1 4-inch PVC conduit to a proposed 24-inch by 36-inch vault in the sidewalk at 37 Main Street.
Second?
Second, moved in second, roll call vote. Selectman Donnelly?
Aye.
Selectman George?
Aye.
Selectman Wilkinson?
Aye.
Selectman Wilkinson? Excuse me, Campbell?
Answer for me?
Yeah.
Aye.
You here, okay, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Great, there we go. And we have I'm gonna read the public notice, Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen, public hearing on September 24th, 2019, Town Office Building, Conference Room A, petition of Comcast, 6:45 PM, which we make, School Street and Main Street, starting at existing pole 1400/3 on School Street, excavating to place 14 inches PVC conduit to a proposed 24 by 36 vault in the sidewalk, and continuing from the proposed vault on the private property of 37 Main Street. And this is Paul F. Murphy, Chairman, Gloucester Times. It ran in the paper on the 17th of September. Okay, we are open.
Good evening, Dave Llewellyn, Comcast.
Thank you.
I would like to speak in favor of the petition to provide service to 37 Main Street. I will start off by saying that recently the customer did cancel the service. However, we would like to move forward with the grant the location in hopes that the customer would come back around, and therefore, if the board approves of the grant the location, then it would just be a street opening permit if the customer did come back around.
Okay,
I just have a question.
please.
So do you have to do this at every house? Like, I'm confused. Like, why just this house?
Well, this is a commercial business,
Oh, Shaylin Road. Okay, thank you.
yeah, and it's new underground, so.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, what? Got it. Thank you.
So this isn't being done because they want it right now. You're doing this to be proactive for
Correct.
future, correct?
They
So
did want it
So there's no
orig-
necessity for this right now.
They did want it originally when we submitted the petition back in June, but there was some delays with getting on the agenda. At that point, they decided they didn't want to wait. However, we wanted to secure, a grant the location if they did come back around. I've had other locations in other cities and towns where the petitions were canceled, the customer came back around. At that point, it was in the middle of the winter moratorium. We had to go back through the whole process. We couldn't give them the service. It had to wait till the spring again, and at that point, we had to start the whole process all over again.
Got it. Whereas if you do it now and they sign on, you just have to open the street to.
Provided
to
it's
connect it.
before the winter moratorium, if
Got
they
it.
came back around, we could do it.
Okay. And
Is
we
the
don't have
box,
to repost it
does
here.
I'm sorry, is the box, the box by Shaylin Lou, is it on the street or is it on the sidewalk?
It'll be in the sidewalk. It'll
It'll be
be
on
a
the
flush
sidewalk.
mount vault in the sidewalk.
Okay. What's the sidewalk there now? Is it concrete or is it
I
asphalt?
believe it's been a while since I've been over
Concrete?
there.
Yeah.
So you would pour the match?
Yes.
So make sure to ask if there's any
Any-
public comment.
yeah.
too.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone from the public care to comment? Okay. Is there a motion to close the hearing?
I move that the Board of Selectmen close the public hearing.
Second?
Second, moved in second, roll call vote. Selectman Donnelly?
Aye.
Selectman Ruth? George? I get it. That was Joe.
Aye.
Selectman
Yes.
Wilkinson?
Aye.
And Selectman Campbell.
Aye.
What about you?
Selectman Murphy, aye.
Would you
Five
like,
straight.
would you like a motion?
Please.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve Comcast's petition to install one 4-inch PVC conduit to a proposed vault in the sidewalk at 37 Main Street as shown on the Comcast underground conduit plan dated June 11th, 2019.
Further- Moved in second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. And, Mr. Chairman, just a reminder to Comcast, the usual sidewalk permits from Public Works apply,
Yes.
and police details, et cetera.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Let's move on to reappointment and interviews. William Reel, are you here?
He
Reel?
is here.
Oh, please join us at the table.
Hot seat.
Thank you for your interest in being on the Conservation Committee. I wondered if you could, we've seen your resume, of course, online through our packets, but other people, would you like to talk a little bit about you? What-
So I've been on the
Reappointment.
Conservation Commission for 2.5 years.
Yep.
It's taken a while to get on the agenda, so thank you for sneaking me on tonight. It's a great experience. It's wonderful to be part of the town and help in a small way.
Good.
So happy
Any
to
questions
continue.
from the board?
I think that it's really great to have someone with your experience and background on the Conservation Commission. I'm sure it's invaluable to them in some of the reviews that they have to do, and just having, having somebody with your education and skills on the group is great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, I mean, thank you for your, yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Great.
Thank you for your persistence.
Please.
I move that the board appoint William Rule as a member of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2022.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 0. Motion
Thank you.
Thank you.
carries
Thank you.
5-0.
Nice to
Thank
see
you
you.
very
Thank you very
much.
much. Moving along to Bruce Cohen and Sydney Whitmore. Please join us at the table for, is there a motion?
These are for Board of Health. The motion
Yep.
says, Conservation Commission, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just move. You guys don't want to be on the.
Unless you want to be on the Conservation.
Yeah, but I have Board of Health.
Well, that's enough, thanks.
Is it inside the motion? Oh, okay, I got it, okay.
Yeah, just,
Okay, who's going to make
Thank
the
you.
motion?
Dawn,
Dawn.
Do you want to do the interview? Okay, hold on one second.
it's just reappointment.
Yeah.
Got it. I move that the board appoint Bruce Cohen and Sydney Wedmore as members of the Board of Health for terms to expire on June 30th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? How are you guys doing?
Doing great, thank you.
What's
And
new in the
I
Board of
must
Health?
say, it's been, I've served one term, and it's been a pleasure and honor to serve in this community and with my colleagues who I learned so much from. So,
Right.
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
You guys have a great group right
You do.
now, huh?
Me too, we have a great
Yeah.
group.
I was gonna tell Dr.
Most of them.
Wedmore that I may or may not have taken this morning off from work to go fishing, and I saw the Straitsmith ramp coming along, but wrong committee. We'll save that for.
That's a different interview.
Well, thanks for all that you do.
And I just have to say, being the Board of Health, liaison, they do tremendous work. It's a busy meeting, they get a lot done. They do a lot of permitting with Leslie and interviews and discussions and keep up on everything. It's a great group to be working with, it really is. Thank you.
Yeah. Any issues? Anything we can do for you guys?
Just as an announcement, we will be probably looking for a new member for this fall. Russ Sandfield is, because of medical issues, is asked to be replaced in the near future.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Definitely keep that in mind.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Great. Well, thank you for your continued
Yes,
work.
thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tough interview, huh?
We're like, get to your meeting.
Right?
You meet on Tuesdays, don't you?
We do.
We
Yes.
do.
It was last week.
Yeah.
Last
not
week
tonight.
was our monthly.
Nice to see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0. The consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the board approve all non-held items on the consent agenda.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I have nothing to hold, so we can
Great.
just go right along.
Nope.
Love it.
Yep, they're all quick things.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0.
Great.
Okay, selectmen, town administrators, updates and liaison reports.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to perhaps
Wait.
do the action list
You
first? I know there's
yeah,
quite a few
list
folks
of-
here for that, and perhaps come back
list
to
of-
that
Oh,
one.
okay. So which one do we want to do?
That one, yeah. I was
The
just
action
start
list
there.
before?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
totally,
Yep.
yeah.
Is anyone here on the action list here to speak? Yes, which one are you?
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
Okay, let's go with that, so you don't have to wait. You want to do a motion first, or,
Sure.
yep, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that the board approve the renovations to 27 Long Beach as requested by James and Ellen Santo and as depicted on a plan entitled Santo Beach House, 27 Long Beach, Rockport, Mass. by Deer Hill Architects LLC and as reviewed by the building inspector on August 15th, 2019.
Okay, you heard the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion. You're on.
Good evening.
How are you?
Just Jim Santo, 27 Long Beach. Got very much a cottage there. Trying to spend a little more time now that the kids are out of college, and looking forward to making it a little more livable. Yeah,
Heat.
some heat.
Wow, you don't have heat right now?
We have no heat.
No
Wow.
heat. No.
Wow.
Have you ever had heat in there?
No.
No, it's a cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now our lease goes a little bit longer. We'd like to stay a little
Great.
bit like past Labor Day and
Great.
November 15th, right?
No, December, right?
April. Come in April. You need to turn that heat on to get the
Oh,
chill
yeah,
out.
get the chill
and
out.
Yeah.
We're not even insulated.
Yeah.
Great. And they're all set to do the work? They're
Yep.
all ready?
Yep.
Great.
We have.
Great.
Awesome.
Time
We
of year
just
to
need your
do it.
blessing.
Awesome.
Anything else from any members? No?
No, I'm good.
I have I have a question.
Sure.
Is this Donut Jim?
Yeah.
Really?
You're famous. Yes. I'm like, I recognize that face and that name.
You know that? You didn't even bring us a
I
strawberry
know,
shortcake?
we didn't even get anything.
Street performers come in, they play a song for us. You can even bring a donut for us?
Maybe we can reschedule. Just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Bribery.
We are just kidding. We are just kidding.
I
We
sent
do
a
not
note around.
really
I
want a
think
strawberry
it's Donut Jim.
shortcake.
No.
Only kidding. Okay.
That's,
Being
funny.
serious now.
Okay.
that's
No.
great.
That's great.
Okay, any other comments?
No, it's still gorgeous down there.
It is, yeah.
I walked the beach yesterday. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a
That's why we
top.
wanted to stay.
Yesterday was
Yeah.
like a top 10 day.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Okay.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed 0. The motion passes 5-0.
carries.
Thank
You're
you very
officially
much.
Good luck.
blessed.
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Good luck.
Anything else that someone may
Yeah,
be
I
here
think
for?
we might be here for 88.
Yes,
88.
88.
Number 2 on our action list.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I move that the selectmen approve the demolition and rebuild of 88 Long Beach as requested by Mike Sullivan and as depicted in the plan entitled 88 Long Beach by T.S. Beard Architecture and as reviewed by the building inspector on August 15th, 2019.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? You're on.
Mike Sullivan, 88 Long Beach. I too want heat, so excited to do this project. Looking for your blessing to start. We're hoping to start in the next couple of weeks. We've been through conservation. I work with them, and we got a good plan, and they've given me permission to proceed, and that's about it.
Great.
How long have your family been on Long Beach?
This will our eighth summer.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
wonderful. Are you enjoying it?
Very much so.
Oh, good.
Yes. Yeah.
We should note, as with the last one, that the building inspector has signed off on that
Yes.
one and this
Mhm.
one as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, I know we always
Yep.
just like to
Yep.
note that, but.
Yep.
What's the construction timeline?
Within the time, by June 15th, I hope to have everything wrapped up, because we do have restrictions there, so that's my goal, is to get started and get it done, so, for sure.
Excellent.
Great.
All right, any other comments?
None?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, opposed 0. The motion passes 5-0.
Good luck.
Very much, thank you.
Thank you very much. Town administrator's report.
I think
Oh,
so.
no, we got
We're
some
here
more.
For one more.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. What's that?
Yep. Easement for Long Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, after them, if the board would allow, number 7 and 8, also have someone here.
Why don't we just bang out the
5,
whole
7, and 8, have
list
somebody
and
here.
get it done?
Just keep going down the list.
Just keep
instead
going?
of
Yeah,
done.
that's fine.
Okay,
You want a motion on this? Hang on one
Please.
second.
sorry.
I move that the Board of Selectmen grant the temporary construction easement and right of entry over portions of the property located at 1 Long Beach at, is that, I don't know if that's
1 Long
germane to the thing. It says A 1 Long Beach. Does that matter? Okay.
Yeah.
Look, it should be at, that's what I figured, but I want to make sure. 1 Long Beach to replace a failing masonry block retaining wall.
Okay. any further
Second.
mo- Second, moved and seconding. Any further discussion from here?
I just want to point out your neighboring property at 34 Rockport Road is represented by Debbie Weinstock Savoy, one of the condominium owners and a trustee of the condominium association. But here's your property here at 1 Long Beach, and there's their property at Rockport Road. You can see that the travel around the condominiums is very tight, and there's an existing retaining wall between, right along the property line there, and it's falling over, and it's going to hurt somebody or damage somebody's car or possibly damage the property on your side as well. So they would like to replace the wall. It's completely on their property, but it's right next to the property line. And we just need an easement to get onto your property for a short period of time during construction. We'll put things back as nice, if not better, than they are today. And that's what we're here for.
Okay.
Sounds pretty easy.
Mitch, do you have anything on this?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I recommend that you grant this particular temporary construction easement. The wall is in very bad shape. I've visited it several times over the last couple of years with the trustees, and there's going to be there is a safety issue. Somebody's going to get hurt if they can't get that replacement done.
Yeah.
The best
Okay.
estimate is might be 70 years old or older. So
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
it's a cinder block wall that has there's no support. It was just there,
It's just-
and it's
yeah.
significantly leaning. Recommend that you.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes.
Just a question. What are you going to replace it with?
So we're going to replace it with a concrete block system. It's in a sense similar to the concrete blocks that you walk past on that ramp coming into this building. But the blocks that we're going to use are bigger than the blocks along your walkway. But it's a similar engineered product intended for retaining wall use. The wall isn't particularly high. It's only about 4 feet of exposed height. And we're going to put a small fence on top of that as well.
So what's the total height on it?
It's 4 feet of exposed concrete and then 3 feet of fence on top of that.
So it's 7 feet in total, above
Right.
ground?
On the Gloucester side. On your side,
Yes.
it will be 42 inches.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Nope. Nope.
Okay,
Great.
Sounds good.
great. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. And the motion
Great, good luck.
passes 5-0.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, let's go to 7 and 8.
No, let's do 5, because Robin's here for.
Okay,
Harvest.
Robin,
Yep.
come
Right.
on down.
Can we just
One
go-
day
you should just go
alcohol.
down
Run
the
the
list.
for
You should just go
harvesting.
down the list.
Yeah, please.
It's you, Sarah?
Oh,
you.
sorry. Mr. Chair, I move that the selectmen approve and sign a one-day alcohol license for the Rockport Exchange on October 19th, 2019.
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Well, this is always, has become quickly one of the signature events of Rockport, there's no
Yep,
doubt about
for
that.
fall.
How many years now?
This is the 9th.
9 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I know people set their calendar early for this, so. But anyway, I digress. Would you like to make some opening comments?
Well, planning is well underway, and we have lots of exciting vendors and activities already planned, and I think it's shaping up to be another great event, so
Yeah.
we're excited.
Are we doing the seafood slam down?
There will be some cooking demonstrations, but I don't think
You don't
that
need
it
us?
Are you volunteering?
Oh,
or-
no, we used to do it, right? We used to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a blast. It was actually one of the most enjoyable
Oh, I'll
events.
tell Sarah. Maybe
Yeah.
she'll reach out.
No one yelled at us.
No, no one accused us of anything. We just ate seafood and judged.
Oh, you're the judges.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Just to, so Robin, this one,
Yes.
the alcohol area is the wharf, right?
Only the wharf.
Right.
yes.
With the tent. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think when we get to it was motif number 1 day that we did under the tent. I think that
Yes.
has to be probably expanded a little for next year, because it was like super awkward. It was like, are you holding a beer? Then you have to stand in these 10 square feet.
Yeah, I know.
But the wharf is like natural. It's not.
Yeah, there's
It's
only
not
one-
nearly as awkward as like the 10-foot fence.
Yeah,
like the
one
10
way
foot.
in, one way out,
Yeah.
and yeah. So
Awesome. It's become like one of the best days of the year
It
in
is.
town.
It's fun.
Totally.
And so what's going to go down on T Wharf? You're going to have like food stations and things of that nature?
Yes, so T Wharf will have the 90-foot tent filled with food vendors, and the cooking demonstrations will have, I believe it's a 20 by 20 band shell with the live music.
Oh, good.
And then on the left-hand side of the wharf will be the alcohol vendors, along with a few food vendors sprinkled in. So it's gonna be a lot happening down there. So.
And Mitch, Debbie will let all the.
That's right.
Once
Let
it's
us
approved,
know
yes,
that.
notice will go out to the.
Are we good and
list.
updated on that list?
Based on everything that we have in our records, yes, she's kept that updated.
Good. And what are we doing with public safety? How many police officers?
So the chief approves a safety plan for that every
Okay.
year. It'll be this, I believe it's the same
amount.
arrangement, and
It's
this
been
is
pretty
one of
good
the
the last couple of years.
It is, and that's actually one of the areas that the town partners with. The town, through its community development department, covers the details for
Perfect.
this event. It's
Good.
a good partnership with us.
Good.
We'll
Excellent.
have to let people know that nicely.
Yes, the group always indicates
Yeah.
the partnership in their
Yeah.
brochures, which we always appreciate.
And you ordered nice weather for it.
Can't be worse than last year.
Yeah, last
What,
year was
last year
hot.
rained?
Oh,
Yeah.
it
my
did.
God,
It did.
Yeah, it
pouring.
was a very soggy day.
It was still fun.
We still had over
Still
4,000 people come out.
How many?
Over 4,000 came, even in the
Really?
rain, so.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
great.
So-
On a good day, how many would you
Well,
estimate?
We see upwards of 8 to 10,000.
Wow.
And as of right now, there were, we're still about a month out, and there's 12,000 people interested on the Facebook event page and things. So
Wow.
the buzz is out.
I think you may get even more because the MBTA has done the $10 a weekend multiple
Fair,
trips.
so that might
So
We'll
you
have to
come from
promote that.
Boston
Yeah.
down, and $10 versus driving down here and having to park, and so that'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Well, thank you.
Should be good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed 0. The motion passes 5-0.
Yeah.
See you there, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you. Let's go to the police department.
Okay.
Approval of local 1676 supervisors and foreman CPA. Is that police department?
No, that's not
You can do that. It's DPW. You can just do that one. That'll be quick.
Okay,
and then
let's do that.
policeman.
What, the DPW?
Yeah, DPW.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign the AFSCME Local 1676 Supervisor and Foreman Collective Bargaining Agreement covering the term of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All good?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed 0, and the motion passes 5-0. Okay, thank you. Let's grab the police department up for,
I don't think,
So that they have, once the board completes its vote, the union would like to share some comments, as would I, on this, so after the board votes.
Perfect.
is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign the MCOP Local 154 Collective Bargaining Agreement covering the term of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Gentlemen?
So you'd vote
We
first.
have to
Vote first, please.
Yep. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 I need to abstain.
Okay,
It's a
so,
policeman.
4 with 1 abstention.
Aye, yep.
Okay.
And Greg George and Mike Marino, the president and vice president, respectively, of the Rockport Police Association, would like to offer some comments to the board.
Evening.
Who's president?
Hello. I'm president.
You outrank him?
In this, yes. In most other things, no.
Today.
Today. So we'll cherish that moment. We need silence? No. We would like to thank the Board of Selectmen, Mitch, the Chief of Police and the Assistant Chief of Police, for a great contract negotiation period. This contract in particular was a little over 3.5 years in the making. It was a very dense contract. We combined with the sergeants and superior officers with the rest of the union, and we're also coming out of civil service. Very long, very arbitrary. But in this instance, it could not have gone better with the people involved. So we wanted to thank you folks, and Mitch especially.
I second that.
We appreciate the efforts of the union. So this particular contract was the 3-year period. There was a 2-year in front of that, so it had been really 5 years in essence since we've had a fully ratified agreement with the union, and we appreciate very much their efforts coming to the table, this particular leadership team for the union coming to the table and making this happen. It had been a long time, and it's good to have this all behind us. I think we can all safely say that. It's good that we're done and there's something in place.
Yeah, that's great.
The town can be proud. The officers and their families can be proud. It could not have gone any better.
Right.
It took a lot of work to get
Wonderful.
to where we ended up
Yeah.
in finality, which was excellent. I think everybody's very pleased. So
If I
thank
may,
you.
Please.
You know, being on this side of the microphone, you're privy to a lot of things that a lot of people in town aren't, and you see how it gets nuanced and all of the intricacies of what goes on. And I know that over the past few years, we've been dealing with a lot of contracts, and everything has seemed to really come together well. There's been a lot of really positive changes in the department, police department, and, you know, you're thanking us, but I want to thank you folks. What you got is what you deserve. We hope you're happy with it. It's given gratefully for the service that you all give every day. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. With the police department and the union came up with challenge coins last year. I don't know if you guys know what challenge coins are. I'm sure Selectman Campbell does, coming from an officer background, but it's a representation of the police department in coin form. Our motto, how we treat the public, how we interact with the public. We're very proud of it. It was a year and a half in the making, so we'd like to present you folks with the coins.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Wow. Neat. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we each get one?
Thank you.
Really?
Wow, this is tremendous.
You don't ever get anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Super cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow. This
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, wow.
Thanks.
Yeah, you saved that one.
This is
awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is tremendous. I love this. Absolutely love this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thank you.
Maybe you guys can stay for this. You know, I've been on the board not as long as Sarah, but
You always have to throw that in there.
because you're the dean. You are the dean, and you deserve it, and you deserve that title. But I've negotiated a number of contracts for the Board of Selectmen, and I can remember a number of years ago, when things did not go well, and we did get the contract done, but everyone was very, very upset with each other, and there was some really bad feelings. And so for you guys to do this, you know, it's full circle. I mean, it was the total opposite of, you know, last time, and we really appreciate it. Speaking for the board, I think it's really special, and you guys do a great job, obviously, and the town's lucky to have you, and now you have a contract that reflects how you work. So thank you, and
You're
and
the
again,
first
I really
group who've
appreciate
actually
it.
presented those too. as
Yeah.
well.
You are,
Yeah,
and,
you know.
the union's very happy, the officers are happy, the families are happy, and hopefully the board's happy and the town's happy, but we're trying to come full circle like you explained.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever done negotiations understands that sometimes you get dug in, and sometimes you can never see the top.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was not like that.
No, that's great.
And I think
Well
going
stated.
forward, we've set a nice foundation that we're only gonna go up from there.
Good. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
With the
Great
0%.
sentiment. Thank you.
Next contract, 0%.
Like I said, we're gonna go.
Only up, I think you said. Only up.
There you go. Nicely played. Nicely played.
Nice to see you guys.
George for the win.
Thanks so much.
Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thanks
was
for all,
good.
Thanks for all you
That's
did.
it.
Thanks for all
Thank
you
you
do.
very much.
Seriously.
Ask for the coins back. And convey our thanks to the chief also. please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The Assistant chief were instrumental in.
And Assistant Chief, I
every meeting we had,
apologize.
You need
Yeah.
one.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you,
for all your
guys.
hard
Thank
work,
you.
everyone. That's really nice to hear all this great stuff. Anyway, we're moving right along to the vote to transmit civil service exemption legislation to the State House.
I move that the board petition the general court to enact legislation exempting all uniform positions in the police department from the civil service law pursuant to the town meeting vote.
Is there a
Second.
second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? This was a long time happening. I'm going to weigh on this immediately
absolutely.
because I remember when we pulled the chief's job out of a town meeting out of civil service. It was controversial, but you know it was going in that direction. Now we get the patrolman out. This will allow us to hire the best possible people, not the best people off a list. So. I think it's great, but anyone else would like to weigh in?
If I may.
Please.
I think it was a town meeting, and I think we should state it here as well, that this action was undertaken as a collaborative between the union, between the officers and the town. This wasn't done to hurt anybody, to slight anybody.
No.
This was done for the betterment of the town, for the department, and everybody was in agreement on that. So thank you for your willingness to do that.
The chief was a big spearhead for this. We
Yeah.
100% support him. And like he said at town meeting very eloquently, I might add, that we want the town of Rockport choosing who we hire and who we don't.
Right.
Right.
Not a state agency that's.
Right.
That's right.
That we have not actually used in.
That's right.
decades.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
It was broken a long time
we
ago.
100% support
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Good.
And again, going up from there. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so important that the town knows that. I think everyone in town meeting knew it clearly,
Right.
but that the whole town knows it. Clearly, we are like immensely proud of our police department and the department that's been built, and that the department, the chief, like, you know, top down are all for the switch to civil service as well as the Board of Selectmen, and it truly was a collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
That will only benefit the town.
Yep.
So.
And it was discussed very well at town meeting.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really
there were a
was.
lot
The
of
chief did a
questions,
great
but there
job.
were a lot of.
It was a great town
it-
meeting.
It was a great town meeting. A lot of people had questions for it, and it was talked about, discussed, and I think everyone,
Yeah.
the vote showed that it was.
Yeah, because sometimes with these
unanimous.
issues, it's immediately, you know, people immediately are like, oh, this is
Suspect.
cops
Yeah.
versus the town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
once people get that flavor,
Absolutely.
then it's hard to get rid of it, but it was very clearly
If you
done,
look at,
so.
if you look at the path that was blazed by pulling the chief's position out and seeing what's going on now, if that's an indicator, we're in good shape.
Yep.
Because we have a great chief and that's good.
Yep.
We certainly
People
do.
that want to be here.
Right.
I think,
Yeah.
As Greg was saying, that list, sometimes you don't know if they really,
Mm.
they end up here because not a lot of people
Right.
take the exam from town, and
Right.
Yeah.
it is best to get
Yeah.
the best candidate.
And
That's
we've
one of the-
interviewed
Yeah.
people at times, and you
Right.
know
All
what
the
I mean?
time.
You know that they're either not even going to make it to the first day on the job, or that they're going to be out of here as soon as they get some, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
We
that's
are
one
at
of
the
my
end of the
standing
line.
questions, exactly.
Beginning of
Are
the
you
world.
gonna
Beginning of the
stay here, or what's going on, you know?
You actually inherited Mr. Barletta, question, and when I got hired, he asked me the very same question, using Rockport as a stepping stone. I said, my stone is pretty much planted here.
In
You know,
Rangeley.
It's a difficult question to be asked when your intentions are that.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't hear you.
You know, in front of you folks, the hiring authority. But as a trainer of the new recruits, we put a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort
Yeah.
into training them.
Yeah.
In our community,
Oh, he would.
although we all say it a lot, Rockport's
right in
unique,
front of a high
but
school
it is.
class
Every
right now.
department's unique. It isn't Gloucester, it isn't Ipswich, it's Rockport.
Right.
So
Right.
we have our own issues and concerns and how we treat the public, and we'd like to continue that.
You know what I've noticed over the years is that the patrolmen, what do you have, 17 patrolmen? You know, they're not all from Rockport anymore. You know, we got people coming in from Lynn and
Yes.
Beverly and you know, out of town. A lot,
And
probably.
that's a double-edged sword, because it's very, we're getting a more diverse
Good.
department.
No, that's good.
Which is a very good thing, but then, again, we want to keep our offices here, and the contract and training and initiatives like coming out of civil service will help us keep them here.
Yeah.
Last question for me, and then we got to move on. But what's the breakdown from Rockport residents to out of town people who reside out? If you had to guess.
50-50. It's close to 50-50 now.
Really?
If you had asked me 5 to 10 years ago, it would have been more like 80-20.
Okay.
But
So it's
because we
50-50?
had to use civil service
Yeah.
and go through 400 applicants, and sometimes get applicants that are from the lower numbers, they're not going to be from around town.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
And so we're in hopes only to get local people. No, we're still going to be
The right
police
people.
department, and it's going to be the best candidate now.
That's right.
Yep.
So that's-
Good. All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Good to
Thank
see you
you.
both.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Okay.
Did we vote on that?
All those in favor say aye.
There we go.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Zero.
Oh, I
The
need to
motion-
abstain.
The motion passes 4-1 with one abstention.
No, pass 4-0.
4-0, one abstention. Okay, the last thing we have is approval of October 15th, 2019 special election warrant.
Mr.
Is there a
Chair.
motion?
Yep, Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign the October 15th, 2019 special election warrant.
Okay, is there a
Seconded. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
It's Mr. Chairman, it is a single question on the ballot for the DPW facility, and just for the public's awareness, the question reads as follows. Shall the town of Rockport be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bonds issued in order to design, construct, and equip a new Department of Public Works facility at 2 DPW Way off of Upper Main Street, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto? So that was written by bond counsel, reviewed by town council, no number listed in it. This is the form that's required.
By law, right?
From, according to bond council
Yes.
and town council, this is what we must use. So polls will be open the normal times.
8 to 8?
7 to 8.
7 to 8.
7 to 8, same locations, all three will be open. An important note, the last day for those wishing to vote in this particular election is tomorrow. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. there'll be continuous voter registration.
Well, Colleen Murphy, I don't think has done it. I'm gonna, oh my God. I
So
didn't
just
think
something
about
to keep in mind if anybody wishes to
We gotta
vote in
get
that
her-
tomorrow
yeah.
is the deadline if you have not registered already.
Is it, but can you pull absentee on that? Because my son's away.
You can pull absentee, yes. That's available starting tomorrow.
Okay, good.
For like 2 weeks, right? Or
Leading up to the election. You
oh,
you
go,
pull
you can
it.
go. Oh, I thought it was.
I don't want to say exactly the date, but it's at least 2 weeks prior. I'm
Good.
aware of that.
Good. Well, again, a lot of hard work done on this, and
Yep.
let's see what happens. And you know what's also wonderful is we're gonna have the results about probably 8:10.
Yeah.
There's only one thing on
Yeah.
the ballot. And
Yeah, that'll be a quick
machines.
one.
Yep, I would say by 8:30, everybody will
At
be
the
turning the
latest.
lights off and going home.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. That's wonderful. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0, and the motion passes 5-0. Let's go back to selectmen and town administrators' updates and liaison reports. Mr. Vieira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cleared through town meeting. Everything went very well for that. Certainly the fruits of that this evening with the civil service and with our police and ASME contracts.
It was a great town meeting.
It went very well. It really went very well. We are in the process now of making sure that everything is taken care of. I's are dotted, T's are crossed. We've got some filings with the state that we need to process. We're working our way through that. We actually have it ready to go, raised seal and everything. We will be sending out tomorrow the civil service exemption, and I expect that similar to what we had to do with the last bit of legislation, within a couple of months, we'll probably need to make a trip into Boston and testify in favor of it again, I would assume, or in favor of this.
Great.
So we are progressing ahead with that. One item to bring in front of the board to get your general feelings on. The towns of Hamilton and Manchester have reached out and expressed interest in, through an intermunicipal agreement, sharing a part-time HR director for approximately 13 hours a week. The goal would be that they'd like everybody to sign on to try it out for a year or so, see how that goes. Hamilton, it would be the lead community on it. They're the ones who've been pushing it. Manchester jumped on. They were originally looking at Wenham. Wenham backed out when they made the rounds, and I said, well, I was on the fence. And I said, well, let's see. It's certainly, in my mind, worth exploring, and I'm open for a trial period on it. The 13 hours a week, so certainly that's not meant to be the large-scale director, but it would address some important things for us. It would be able to be the take over from what's now the finance director as our harassment officer and have a person that folks can see for those types of issues before they escalate a bit. It would be frontline on our recruitment and onboarding processes. So I spent a lot of time when I was in the ATA and HRD role really trying to set something up there, and that does require presence. It requires time and really managing that. So within that amount of time, I think that would be a reasonable task for it. They'd handle also our compliance materials and things like that go out on an annual basis. I was really clear in the budget process, really clear in my interview process that I do not believe it is necessary to have an assistant town administrator position. Certainly, should the board feel differently, that we'd certainly go through that. I do
Vice
not.
President, they didn't do anything.
It was a good night, Paul.
It's a very good night, Paul. Yeah. I have no intention of filling that role. I have no intention of asking the board to fill that role at this time. So I would say that would complement things nicely, and I'm interested in having the town try it out for a year, certainly to see how it goes. The liabilities, we would be basically, it would function the same way our Veterans District does. We'd be billed out either on a quarterly basis or once a year, however the process would be, from Hamilton, and that would cover everything. It'd be a fixed cost
It's a
for us.
contracted position, correct? It's
They-
not.
it's an employee.
It's an employee.
They hire the employee.
Without benefits.
It's exactly, no, with benefits.
No.
It'd be a full-time employee through the town of Hamilton, the exact same way the Veterans District is. So the Veterans agent is a full-time employee of the city of Gloucester. we contract with Gloucester for veteran services.
Right. Yep.
So it's their liability on that end. They simply send us a bill
Bill
for
for
our,
the hours.
our piece of the pie.
Right.
Yep.
So this would be the exact same thing, our bill for the piece of the pie. We don't have,
Do you have a cost estimate on it?
it depends on what we end up hiring the person for. The overall cost would probably be in the $80,000 range for the person.
Our end?
No,
The
the
total.
overall
Okay,
cost,
I was
the
getting
overall
very
cost
nervous.
for the position.
Jeez, I'm in the wrong
The
business.
the going rate for an HR director is $85,000. So ours, we'd probably divvy it up, it'd be a third, roughly speaking, over the cost of a full year. And then certainly there'd be a small add-on to that for our chunk of the benefit pieces, but it'd be a flat fee for us. And certainly interested in the sense that if in a year it's not working, or we find that you're just not a fit for us, we wouldn't renew the IMA.
What about contract negotiations with this person? Because if we're gonna be paying into it, do we have a say in what goes on with that person?
Yes, so as is the case with the vets agent, the administrators basically are a management committee overseeing that. So
You'll have equal,
y-
it's like a
yes, and if for some reason there's disagreement, at the end of the day, the home municipality has final say.
Okay.
I've never seen that had to be exercised because in most cases we're on the same page and going in the right direction.
Okay.
But yes, it would be a group effort, group evaluation, group management and oversight, and from preliminary conversations with my counterparts in Hamilton and Manchester, we all see things roughly the same way. So we're all fine working on that type of topic.
Is there somebody that already occupies the position now? So it's open?
It would, if everybody agrees that we would explore it, we would move to work with them to fill a position.
So, and Rockport will have a say on the person they hire, just as Manchester and Hamilton?
Yep, absolutely.
I think this is a no-brainer. I mean, obviously the job is needed. And anytime we can collaborate with other communities, we're not on the hook for a lot of money. And if it doesn't work out, we stop it after a year. But I think it's worth, this is my opinion, of course, to try this out and see how it works out.
I think too that ever since I've been on the board, I've always been concerned that HR was not something that was set aside. It was done by assistant town administrator or the town administrator. I think people need to feel that there's someone other than town administration who they can go to if they have a problem with their boss, with someone they're working with. I think that's really an important thing to have. So this independent person who's not their boss's boss or they're responsible to is a needed thing. I think it's going to work out great. Those people, HR people, have a certain skill set and a knowledge base that they have to have, and all three communities have a basic HR need that is the same or very similar. So it will be very easy to work it with three communities. I think, like Paul said, it's a no-brainer. It's something needed, and I think the employees here in Rockport are going to think that that's a good thing. I really do.
Denise?
Yeah, Mitch, can we tell them that we'll do this if they share a planner with us?
I applied pressure on that in the exact same conversation.
We're desperate.
Those are two out of the three communities who we're having a active discussion with on trying
Good
to
thought.
make that work.
Good thought. Yep.
The third one is not, the third community is not overly interested. Gloucester obviously was not able to accommodate. The other two, the other two are interested in exploring that.
Yep, good.
I've always loved
That's become a almost daily nudge, push, beg, plead with
This would be
some of our colleagues.
Maybe they'll realize that things can work well together with using.
Anytime
I
this has
also
been
think
tried,
this
it's been
could be
positive.
really helpful in terms of recruiting.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think a
Yeah.
lot of HR, and Denise, you're the HR professional, but has turned to like talent recruitment, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
being at the end of the line, I feel like sometimes we're a little bit, it's tough here, you know? And so maybe someone who is also working with other communities and has access to a wider pool of candidates, I think could be really helpful to us.
Yep.
Good.
But
Okay.
Mitch, I'm glad that you're, I mean, obviously it's something that, you know, defer to you if you're excited about the opportunity and think it could be a win for the town, but obviously seeing how well the veterans agent has worked,
Yep.
Mhm.
that has been a
Yep.
huge win for us.
Big time.
It
Do you need a
has.
vote?
I don't need a vote this evening. I needed just a consensus to proceed forward.
Great
So if
idea.
there's
So
a consensus, it seems like there's 5 head nods, so I'll
Is there a
certainly
second?
proceed. We'll proceed forward, and then should everything be finalized and squared away, the board would be presented with an intermunicipal agreement to vote on.
What about funding? That's my last question.
So that's, once we finalize exactly what the cost would be, we'd look to see where we would cover that. Certainly, it's only a portion of the fiscal year this year, so it would be a smaller amount. So it depends on what the final number where I propose to draw that from.
Okay.
Good, all right, thank you. Anything else, Mitch?
No, Mr. Chair, that's
Okay.
it.
Any liaison reports? Denise?
Yeah, so I made a brief appearance at the DPW Commissioners meeting because there appeared the day before the meeting a notice that the commissioners were going to be reviewing the municipal vulnerability preparedness report suddenly after quite a long time of no news about it. It turns out that they were just reviewing the process and that the DPW commissioner is going to, the DPW director is going to reconvene the core group with what I assume will be more notice to the public. And we will have an opportunity to participate, and anyone in the public who's interested will have an opportunity to participate. And that's important for us because it completes the first phase of this MVP process and qualifies us once we're done for the next level of grants, which are much bigger and certainly something I think we're interested in as a community. Two more things. One is tomorrow evening I'm participating in the Climate Crisis Action Meeting in Gloucester, which is basically we were invited, and other people from around Cape Ann are going to be convening to talk about who's doing what on Cape Ann. And there will be a report out on October 23rd. I'll remind us about that at the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church. But it's a working meeting to talk about kind of how to coordinate our efforts. Thursday evening at 7 p.m., Catherine Glenn, who is the regional coordinator for coastal zone management for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, will be speaking at the Community House at our invitation as part of the communities responding to extreme weather certification that we approved as a board. And there are communities all over Massachusetts who are participating, who are doing something this week to indicate concern and educate the public and involve the public in learning about climate change and what we might be doing. Catherine is going to speak about the barrier beaches of Cape Ann and kind of educate us as to what we can be doing and thinking about with respect to trying to preserve the barrier beaches. So I urge everyone to please try to attend. I think it'll be a really interesting meeting and very educational, certainly.
Great, thank you. I just want to add in on town meeting. The action that the town of Rockport did, I thought was outstanding. My personal, I'm not speaking for the board myself. I was very proud of
Yeah.
that. And
Yep.
we're you know, not a lot of communities aren't up to speed where we are, so
Yep.
I think that's great. Anyone else?
Denise, you'll be there Thursday, obviously.
Thursday I will be there.
I can't go, it's middle school parents
I'll be
night.
there. I'll be there.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And it's like school security, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's one of those that you can't miss, but
Yep.
that's good that some
I have a
people.
couple things.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ruth.
I'm new on Council on Aging, so I went to that meeting. I'm the new liaison. Very interesting. They're very busy with a lot of different things. They're doing some Council on Aging training in Topsfield. They're very happy about the increase for the spending limit that town meeting approved so that they can have more exercise classes and do more things up there.
Great.
And that's really will be great. They had a huge flu clinic by Walgreens that 75 elders attended, which was very busy.
Took my mother yesterday.
Oh, very good. They're booking a CPR class up at the police station for all their staff and volunteers who run classes there for October. Their safety committee is very busy on looking at the building, thinking of better lighting outside, other safety concerns that they're working on there. Very proactive group. And they're also looking at having a party, a thank you party for Roger Lesh in October, so they can thank him for all the work he's done with the Council on Aging over the years. Then I attended the DPW Commissioners meeting, because I'm the liaison to that. Water restriction was lifted immediately, so there are no water restrictions anymore. Everything is going good up at the plant. There was a discussion about the DPW building and next steps. They're going to kind of lay low last week, this week, for a couple weeks, and then they'll start the push towards town meeting, the vote. So 2 weeks out before the vote, they will start ramping up again with letters to the editor and talking about different things to keep that momentum going. They also discussed the building committee and facility design, next steps, talking about the owner's project manager. They also talked about Harvey and Barletta Park. Their DPW is looking at renewing those and revitalizing those. So they're going to be having some public outreach meetings with different groups like the beautification committee and things like that. And also on their list was the porta potties, which have been a concern of some of the residents where they've been placed. And next on was the Board of Health that I went to. And that was the major topic at the Board of Health. The police station was the meeting site, and the place was, every single chair was taken at the police station meeting. And probably 75% were about the porta potties. The concern is where they are. Most of them were not happy down at South End. But as I tried to tell them, this was a short season. We started that with the Board of Health at their recommendation. So it was to try it, see what will be good for next year, have the buy-in of the residents in the area, the Old Garden Beach Association, the South End Association, and have them try to figure out a area that is best for them, but still keep them there for the public's need.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
And I should have told you this before the meeting, but because I live right there, I go to Cape Hedge, and I had dozens of people like thank me, even though I said it wasn't us, but thank me for the porta potty there, because they're like, people have no idea when you go to the beach for the day, and and park your car, and sometimes you park almost to Turk's Head and walk, a quarter of a mile, that you then can't jump in your car to go to the, and so people were very grateful. So I said that it was kind of an ongoing thing, but I thought that the Board of Health was committed to having them at all beaches.
And they are very committed to it. They want to work over the winter to figure out what are the best things. They're not going to. They don't want to rescind it. They want to keep going on it. One of the things they did talk about was having better signage so that it says where they are, so that we Rockporters might know where they are, but visitors and summer people might not know where they are in the area. So that was a big thing. Also, I brought up the part of vaping and that in the area of Rockport and all over the news and everything. I did a little survey. The only place we sell vaping products is just e-cigarettes at Cumberland's and Rockport Market. We own.
They were banned today.
Temporary. So for the meeting, we only do those two places. We only do menthol and the nicotine kind. We don't do any flavored. That's not allowed in Rockport. And we just sort of talked about it a little bit. As of today, the governor has banned them for 3 or 4 months. So I talked to Dr. Wedmore today, and they will be probably going around and taking them off of those two places' shelves tomorrow. But so that's an update on that. October 1st from 1 to 4 at the police station, you can get flu shots. You just have to bring your insurance card for that. It's mostly for employees, but I'm sure they'll take anyone with an insurance card. I just want to talk little bit about the wonderful job they did in cleaning Central Fire Station last week. They worked with the Essex County Sheriff's Department, getting some people out here, working with a lot of the firefighters. I went there. They were there Monday through Friday, and I went there 4 days, checked on them. They were doing a wonderful job cleaning, hoeing out. Our DPW was there taking truckloads of extra equipment stuff that they didn't use. There was an old overhead door that they hadn't used for years. They had kept it up in the up position so they could put the ladder truck there and the ambulance in back of it. They dismantled that and lugged that away. They painted. They did all kinds of things over there. Absolutely free labor. All you had to do was feed them. It worked out well. The guys over there were so happy, the firemen. They were all gung-ho to do it. They had the chief and the other assistant chiefs there manning it and helping everything. So they were doing a great job. And my last thing was just that it was such a wonderful town meeting to have that many people having to hold town meeting like a half hour, 45 minutes before start, waiting for all those people to come in. It was just, I mean, I've been going to town meetings for a long time as a resident from here, and I've never seen a town meeting that packed. That was absolutely wonderful.
It was exciting.
It really
exciting
was.
to have to like hold the start to get people in.
I know.
Right.
Yep.
And
the
you know,
women checking people in were like excited about it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Once we got it moving.
We
once
gotta,
we got
the
line
clicker,
moving.
the clicker thing is an issue, though. We gotta,
it's still,
Well,
we
yeah.
gotta
Yeah,
talk
so
about that.
Pat said she was gonna order, she told me she was gonna get 150 more clickers.
Right. And the other thing, too, is when we did the clickers, we did it so that Manchester Essex had the same clickers, I thought. They bought the same ones. So if we can do it ahead of time, we can certainly use theirs. I thought that was in the beginning. She talked about that.
Talked about sharing the system, I think, is what it
Oh.
was.
Not the
Yes,
Not the
I'm
clickers.
not sure
Yeah.
that I'm not sure that we ended up actually going with
Oh, okay,
the same
okay.
systems.
Yep.
There were some that were turned back as broken,
Yep.
but in fact they weren't broken. There was a little bit of user error on that, but
Mhm.
we're able to redistribute those to folks. But we do need a few more.
We need
We,
more.
we need
Yep.
we need more just to have available.
Yep.
It's nice that when you don't have enough clickers.
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, when
Absolutely.
you think about it, that
Yep.
means you have that many people there.
Yeah,
So it's a
and we
great
should
thing.
have,
Absolutely.
we should have had a secondary location, like, ready to go
Just
with
in case.
microphone. I don't know if, was it set up? I got the sense
No,
that it
Jim
wasn't.
No,
wasn't.
there was not.
Who does that fall on? Does that fall on us to make that arrangement or
Town
Bob
clerk.
to do it?
Town clerk.
Town clerk to do,
Mhm.
okay.
I too want to just echo on what Ruth said. I've been to a lot of town meetings, and some of them, and I know it's part of democracy and so forth, and people arguing, but this meeting, there was argument, but there wasn't any, personal attacks. There weren't any people, making outrageous accusations that overall, it just, I felt decent when I walked out of there. Sometimes you feel attacked, for various reasons, so that was good.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the liaison report? Are you all done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Anyone else?
Oh, I do, but I'll.
Yeah, I
go
do.
ahead.
I attended finance committee, which was a couple weeks ago, and then a couple of school committee meetings. School committee has a lot going on, looks like as we've all kind of been hearing grumblings of an override in the spring. They're like very early stages. They haven't gotten their numbers or anything together yet. They also, kind of cool, the National Honor Society had reached out to me and asked me if I could think of any, over the summer, asked me if I could think of any kind of project that the kids could do. Someone just texted me and, a kind of a collaboration with the town, and I kind of thought of a marketing video, which I had talked about that with the school committee before, and they have gotten approval from the school committee to do it, and they're actually going to produce, I believe, 3 videos. One of them is going to target people with young kids who are thinking about moving here. One is going to target kind of marketing, like what we offer, what the school, things that people wouldn't necessarily know about the town. Second is going to discuss all the clubs and extracurricular things and kind of what Rockport kids experience. And then I believe the third is going to talk about all this different STEM stuff and kind of the educational program at the high school and college prep stuff and that kind of thing.
Great.
So
Great
that is
idea.
being headed by Amy Huber, who is, I believe she's like the National Honor Society liaison. And so she has gotten approval from the school committee, but they have a lot of exciting stuff going on. School year's off to a good start, and as we all know, if you have kids in the school doing some some Alice safety trainings, and as we discussed, they continue to be very grateful for the security cameras. So, all good stuff up there.
Yeah, the Alice training is very disturbing, but sadly, this day and age, it has to be.
Yep.
It has
Yeah,
to
and
happen.
Rob has done a very nice job kind of tailoring what he thinks is appropriate to each age group.
Good.
And
Can-
so far, so good, especially with Phil Wesley up there, who,
Yeah,
you know.
that's huge. If we can try to make sure that we see that video before it goes out, I'd love to see, what they're marketing
Yep.
the town.
One more quick thing, that I think it's happened since we have met, but, the 9/11 ceremony
Mm.
was, personally, I thought it was like outstanding. I thought it was so well done. I know that, Assistant Chief Schmink put the program together, but I thought it was wonderful how all of the different departments spoke and read poems and were represented, and the whole thing, the singing, it was just a nice turnout from the public. My guess is if we did the same thing next year, we would have 4 times as many people, just because it was the first time, but there were a lot of members of the public there. I thought it was really nice.
It was an excellent show of unity for the Emergency Services Division.
Yeah.
Everybody was represented in that group. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
We
We did
appreciate
it a
that.
number of years ago down on T Wharf. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
nice. That
it
was
was
nice
really
too.
nice.
But I think that was during the morning, if I remember correctly.
That was a morning one.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was one of the
The big
Yeah, it was
ones.
one of the-
milestone
Yep.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this was just so well done, I thought.
yeah, very well done.
Was.
Mr. Campbell?
Um,
Oh, you are done?
I'm done, thanks.
Okay.
Oh, all right, we'll start with the exciting stuff first. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 10 totaling $109,122.07 and expense warrant number 10 totaling $867,169.59 on September 4th, 2019. Selectman Campbell signed payroll warrant number 11 totaling $565,017.04 and expense warrant number 11 totaling $497,683.06 on September 10th, 2019. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 12 totaling $113,023.66 and expense warrant number 12 totaling $752,931.68 on September 18th, 2019. So that's that. Few things. Number one is I've been in contact, and it's going to be a bit of a process, but again, in the interest of keeping everybody updated, I spoke to Senator Tarr's office today, and we're in a meeting with DOT is going to be coming up pretty soon for the sidewalk on Nugent Stretch, so that's moving along pretty good.
Don,
Yes,
can I ask you also to put a bike path
a bike path.
and the
I think it would
sidewalk?
probably be a dual purpose path. I mean,
Okay.
that can be included as part of a design. No, it's a,
Yeah.
because.
Same safety issue.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
exactly, and I think it's a legitimate and good way to go about it, plus access into the trails going off into the woods, so, yeah, we're absolutely. I know Peter Beecham was a big advocate of the trail system side of it, that's what he really liked. Two things that I'd like to bring up, and I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Chairman, as you control the agenda, two things that we really need to start on, from where I'm sitting, is, number one is Long Beach, and what's gonna happen there. We've had one meeting so far, an executive session. Obviously, no determinations or course of action has been chosen, but we need to get on top of that as quickly as possible.
2024 comes quickly.
Very quickly. And then the second thing is we really need to, we've had one meeting, Sarah was out that night, and I was fortunate enough to chair it. Too bad you couldn't have been there. But it's the fueling station that we had, and there's a lot of interest. I've been contacted by a bunch, so I want to keep these things on track. I don't want them to get to the back burner. These are things that are important to the town, in one sense, to everybody, of course. The fueling station, a lot of the fishermen have reached out to me and asked when we're gonna get this going. So I'd like to get that scheduled and on for a meeting, in whatever format is appropriate, whether it be another community meeting
We should
or whether
probably
it be
start
us.
with our board discussing them.
And that's fine, that's why I say whatever the forum is. But I wanna make sure we get it, and we have regular meetings scheduled, and we can get this thing on track and get it to the finish line if That's the path that's chosen for
I
this.
think Mitch wants to weigh in first.
Sure.
Sorry,
Those are the
thanks.
things, Mr. Chair. So to that point on scheduling some of the items, I've developed a list, and the chair and the vice chair and I are going to have a conversation actually right after this meeting on what October, November look like. There are a few immediate pressing items, getting those addressed, and then looking a little longer term at what's on that list so we can start to plan some of these out. There are a few items that have been floating on the list that are going to need either an executive session and/or a workshop.
Yeah.
So even with the consent agenda, which has helped to clear space, there are several items that are going to need a standalone. So we're actually, the three of us are going to have a conversation after this meeting on.
So you, the chair, and
a
the
few-
vice chair are going to be
We're having a
discussing the
conversation
agenda
on,
items? Okay.
on some of these bigger things and where we can place them.
Good.
So that we're not filling a meeting and getting everything addressed.
Good, thank you. Let's see, what else do we have? There's going to be a talk at I believe it's at the Community House, I might be wrong, but it's October 21st, 7:30 to 8:30, and it's going to be a talk presented for all the mafia buffs out there on Joe Barboza, who was actually, I'm going to, that was just, that looks awesome.
Remember
And it's going to be a talk given about the history of Joe Barboza being on the island and the protections and all that kind of stuff. That'll be fantastic. And
If I can interrupt you, that was 1967, and my brother Jerry came home from the yacht club, and he said to my father, he said, "There's a gangster on the island, on Thatcher's Island." So my father called Fred Hilliard, and they quit, the police, the ATF guys wouldn't even let them near the island. So my father broke the story, front page of the
Well, there you go.
But that's Barboza, that was a long time.
Yeah, so that's
Bobby
gonna-
Kennedy put him out there.
That's going to be interesting. And then, and the last thing I had was, which we've already talked about, was the 9/11 ceremony, which was fantastic. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Are we going to do this?
Oh,
yeah.
Updates?
Remote participation?
Did you want to, yeah, what do we got here?
So I wanted to get, just briefly, Mr. Chairman, a flavor of the board, if there's some interest in having me do some mock-ups on potentially updating this. So the board accepted, remote participation in 2016 when the law was amended to allow for that. It required that it take place in either this room, Conference Room B, or at the annex, because it needed to have a town hardwired phone to ensure that everything could be heard correctly. And it required that anyone who's participating remotely, that they physically attend a minimum of 2/3 of the committee's meetings, i.e. ensuring that it was the exception rather than the rule. That was the point at that particular period in time. There's been some discussion on potentially allowing for video conferencing in addition to the phones as an option. So certainly the quorum doesn't change. The law and the regulations are still the same, so quorum doesn't count, et cetera, but allowing for that single member to participate remotely via video.
Instead of phone.
Via video
It's the
conferencing
exact same
instead of
thing
phone.
as-
So the law hasn't changed.
Okay. Yeah,
The
no,
law hasn't
that's
changed on that, so it would potentially be helpful to allow that particular piece, but we looked at it again
Yeah.
last week, and the quorum piece is unchanged
Okay.
on it, but I wanted to gauge the board's interest in having me go through the process to do a mock-up on that and see what that looks like. And if the board's open to that, because it's
Is
the
it
board's
necessary?
decision. It's certainly another tool. Certainly we'd have to be sure that technology was in place on both ends. And that may not be an issue in every case, but we need to be sure.
I guess
that-
my question is, what's the need for it? Like, why do we need video? Because again, we discussed that you and I right before the meeting, and the problem that I have is that the connection on this end will be fine. I mean, we got an access point right there in the middle of the room. The problem is when somebody's away, it's the integrity of that connection that can't be
I think then you could still
guaranteed.
do phone, right?
It would default to the phone.
could
if
default.
it was
So I
up.
think it's if
Right.
someone like.
Just another
were-
option.
if
It would
someone
be
had the
another option.
capability and wanted
It would
to.
be another
Which
option.
brings me to my point as to why is it necessary? You know what I mean? Do you have to have it? I mean, is the
You-
phone okay? or-
You don't. The board doesn't have to allow any remote participation. I do
Well,
feel it's a good
it was
idea.
my urging a long time ago. I wanted this, and I think it was a good thing for the most part. I mean, I don't
Yep.
see the negatives.
I agree. It's been helpful. It's been minimally used, which is good and that's appropriate.
I'm fine with it as long as it's a choice, you know,
It's always
obviously, as
good
long
to have a choice,
Right.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Another option.
fine on that end.
Yeah.
Choices are good.
As long as we can
We
get the
like choices.
technical piece worked out, which I'm sure we can. So if there's no objection from the board, I'll
Yeah.
do some mock-ups on the board's current stance, and we'll
Okay.
present that back to you after talking with IT.
Perfect.
Yep, and we'd still keep the two, that they have to go to the minimum of 2/3.
That would be up to you, yes, if
I think
if that's still,
important to keep.
I didn't hear you. What?
That you still have to in person go to 2/3 of the meetings, because we've had
Yeah.
we've had people before who want to join committees but are only like here for the summer. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that takes away from. It's just unfortunately like municipal volunteering. Like we're not at that point where everyone's remote and.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. That seems to have worked for us in the past.
okay. So that would certainly be up to the
Yeah.
board on that piece.
Is that a town regulation or is it state one?
So the selectmen have the authority to make further regulations
up with
based
that,
on the state CMR, so 940 CMR 2910.
But they can
covers
add,
it.
they
You
can't
can-
subtract.
Correct, you can add restrictions, you can't subtract.
Good. Okay.
So if the board's willing, which I'm seeing enough head nods on that, I'll do a mock-up.
Yes.
Tom Barrett, Finance Committee, I'm actually advocating for this as well. And one of the reasons is I found a few times that the telephone method hasn't worked, but the internet method would work. So it's, you know, it's not just video, it's the ability to connect via the internet.
Yep.
And it's not just for meetings, the members of the committee, but the public as well could use this mechanism. So people who are able to visit could virtually attend the meeting, even ask questions virtually.
Well, I don't think
I don't think
that's
it's
what-
meant towards-
that's what we're talking about, right?
Right, no, it's not.
I just want to be clear. I don't think that's
So
what you're
you're,
talking about. is
that, that could certainly be something
like
for
a
the board to
different-
discuss.
yeah.
It would be as part of this, the board, if the board wants to allow public participation via video, you could certainly include that in this regulation as well, in the regulation as well.
Honestly, I would have to look into that more. Just,
Okay.
I don't know.
Can I just ask him, is that your intention, is for the public or for the members of the committee? I want to be clear on.
Well, it's personally, it's my personal use, because I do travel, and we've discovered the phone doesn't work for when I'm in certain countries. But my understanding is the town already pays for software that would enable anyone on the internet to attend the meeting virtually. And so it's certainly, there's no reason to limit this to just members of the committee. Why not let anyone in town attend the meetings as well?
And I don't disagree with that. The problem, what I want to get at is I want it all, from the beginning, I want the intention known. So, because right now, you saying that was news to me.
So the software already enables remote participation by third parties. It's built into the software.
No, I get that, but well, I don't know, I'm sure it exists somewhere. That's not my point. My point is that this was presented as for the committee members to use it. Now, you're bringing in the public, which is fine, because I think it's a great thing, potentially. But again, as Sarah said, it bodes more research. But I just want to be clear what the intent is from the onset.
So the intent tonight is just to see if I'm okay to do markups. It's not to
Just
get,
to
it's for me to
okay.
allow,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
gonna
that
argue.
would be something I'll
Yep.
explore in the bigger picture, but I just need the board to say you're okay with me
Yep.
doing some work on it.
Good.
Because it's gonna take a little bit of time. So if the board's good with that.
That's fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, everyone.